Funny actually, because I shared with players there not so long ago the story of Jessica Watson. He was a young woman at 16 years of age, travelled around the world solo on a boat, and the documentary I watched was really inspiring. True Spirit, it was called, and I actually shared that with the players in terms of the inspiration they could take from a young woman like that, what she'd been through, everything else.
Right, everyone, a very special Celtic AM today as we welcome the ultimate Celtic YouTuber to the channel, Ryan Fitzsimons, aka Ryan118. You're the second guest we've ever had on. I'd say it's a tough act to follow, but it was Stevie that's been on previously, so no bother there. Can't get any worse than him. Ryan, hello mate, how are you?
I feel like you've done me over the top there, and you've also served a great injustice to the legend that is Stevie. But listen, I appreciate the compliments, and it's class to be talking with you again, Hamish. I was chuffed to see that you are back on the scene because I feel like you've been missed. So it's good to see you. I'm glad that you've asked me on. It's a real honour.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. I think we're going to do 20 minutes here, and then maybe 20 minutes over on your channel. I'm not sure how we're going to make the videos different, but I'm sure we'll manage to talk about something. But yeah, Ryan, I don't know why I'm telling you this because you'll all know, but he does Ryan118 channel. How many subscribers nowadays, Ryan?
I think we're getting close to 43,000. I think that's the number that's coming up. I've not actually checked today, so I don't know. Maybe I'm overestimating under it. I don't know, but we're around that mark anyway.
Numbers
you'll be there no time. You'll be flying. Now that you're back, you'll be flying towards it. We need to get you back up towards the top end.
Yeah. No, it's great to have you on. Let me ask you a question, Ryan. Do you know the story of Jessica Watson, the young woman of 16 years of age who travelled around the world solo on a boat?
Oh, yes, of course. I've actually used the documentaries made about her to motivate myself when, I've been feeling down, I've been lackadaisical. It's a real inspirational tale, Hamish. I'm sure that you're completely aware from your side of the world as well.
It was peak Brendan, wasn't it? This is Brendan Rodgers, everyone, at today's, yesterday's press conference. He was quizzed at the start about the comment that he made, good girl, to Jane Lewis from the BBC, and he went on a typical Brendan Rodgers arc and brought up Jessica Watson. I saw it described a little bit as David Brent, and it certainly was peak Brendan Rodgers. Just what I mentioned just quickly before we get on the what Rodgers actually said on the Jane Lewis incident. He said, "I will address it because I've been aware of it. Sadly for me, in society now, we are either looking to offend or find something that is offensive to try to pin onto people. I've spoken to Jane and she wasn't offended. We had a laugh about it. She will continue to ask me awkward questions, I am sure, but I see her every week and we have good relations like I have with most people in my life, whether that's professional or social." Jane Lewis also has actually spoken, saying, "Clearly the interview on Sunday has become a talking point. I don't believe there was any offence meant by Brendan Rodgers, and for my part, there was none taken." I must say, my take on it, and I'm not going to spend ages on this because I think a lot has been made of it, but I did find it a little bit kind of jarring, but people have their thoughts, and he's just a bit like that, Brendan Rodgers. He says weird things.
The way that I worded it in my post-match reaction to Motherwell was he could have maybe handled it in a better fashion than he did. I think that you can tell that he was agitated when, asked the question. He's came back and retaliated in the way he has, and maybe he would have lived to regret that moments following. Maybe there was better ways to handle it, but I'm glad to see that it's been sorted, Hamish. As you say, there's no point in dwelling on it too long, but it seems like everybody's okay, everybody's fine, none offence has been taken. But it's nuts. You see the reaction. Obviously, people aren't they happy. Some people think it should be brushed off. It's a whole box of frogs when you open it up. To be quite honest.
A box of frogs. Right,
a box of frogs.
Because you absolutely love Rodgers, don't you?
Can I make the record clear to you? I love him, and people who don't know that, I have stood by him. But I don't know what Stevie's opinions have been. Is it potentially the first guest on the channel who is such a Brendan Rodgers backer?
Yeah, I always see your tweets and stuff, and I'm always wondering how much of it is genuine, how much are you playing up to the kind of billing.
I think that, to be honest, a lot of it is just playing up to the, I put myself right out there for the very get-go, and I was like, Rodgers is my guy. I want him for the job, and I've had to stand by that with every passing result and every passing quote. Everything that's annoyed Celtic fans, I've decided, I've got to stick by it. So sometimes it is, but if you've noticed as well, Hamish, I've been a lot quieter on the social media front in recent months. I don't tweet as often. I think a large part of that might be down to what's been happening, but yeah, I guess it's a wee bit 50-50 when you ask like that.
Yeah. No, I just thought it was interesting to get your view. I mean, where are you genuinely at the moment with Brendan Rodgers and the job he's doing?
My genuine thoughts is not good enough. It's as simple as that. We haven't been performing to the levels that you would expect this Celtic side to be playing to. I mean, we can talk about what players aren't good enough and what players have been letting us down this season, but at the end of the day, there's a manager who is in control of that, a manager that has to dictate the levels of performance on a week-to-week basis, and sadly, those performances haven't been good enough. There's definitely been signs at times that we are still a good side and led by a good coach. We've beat Rangers twice. The second half against Motherwell was decent, but the inconsistencies have been one of our major stumbling blocks along the road in this campaign. So I'm still at the point where I back Brendan Rodgers, and I want him to turn it round. I'm not on any side. A lot of people want to see him go, whether that's walking or being sacked. I'm nowhere near that level yet, but what I have said in my own podcast a number of times is my patience is wearing thin, because ultimately no man should be immune from criticism or just. Look what happened with Neil Lennon a few years ago. I wouldn't dish out the criticism I gave to Neil Lennon and nobody else. So my patience is wearing thin, but we need to see improvement from now till the end of the season. We need to take home this league title, and if we don't do that, then obviously serious questions will be asked of the man that's leading the team.
And where are you with that at the moment? Like, do you think, do you give us a 50-50 chance of winning the league? Is it more than 50, less than 50?
It's so hard to tell because, if you asked me this at the first half during the game against Motherwell at the weekend, I was,
I was down to about 10% chance, I think.
Yeah, I was down to 10%. But when you seen the team at the end of the game, it did kind of bring back a bit of belief in me that, I've seen so many people this year, and you might have your own opinions, Hamish, but I've had so many comments over the course of the year on my channel saying, like, they've given up the manager, he's lost the dressing room, but that isn't a team that's lost in the... I don't think Brendan Rodgers has lost anybody. I just think there's been serious underperformance that will be and needs to be addressed. So right now, maybe I'm a wee bit more optimistic than a 50-50 chance, but... We need to win every single game for here to the end of the season. He clearly knows how to beat Rangers, so you're banking on him beating them twice. Whether or not we'll do that right now, you generally can't. There's no way you can convince me we'd beat them twice, but you've got to do that. And then who knows? Maybe we still do control our own story, as Brendan Rodgers is wanting to spin it off.
Yeah, he loves that line, doesn't he? Clearly kind of thought of that one. Okay, we've got Dundee tonight as you're all watching this at Celtic Park. Ryan will be going along, I'm guessing, and looking forward to
I'll be there.
To seeing Celtic and hopefully, I feel like I've said this before this season, but hopefully we start to put the performances together and get a bit of momentum. I just feel we've not been able to get any momentum really at any point this season. It's been like a couple of good results and performances, and then like a St Johnstone or a Kilmarnock come to Celtic Park and get a result. So tonight, maybe last season, Dundee at home, with Tynecastle to come, you would already be looking ahead to Tynecastle. We can't afford to do that this season. We're not good enough to take any game for granted. So I've barely even thought about Tynecastle on Sunday. It's all about tonight, because tonight is no gimme. I genuinely wouldn't be surprised tonight. Hope I'm wrong, but if we drop points, because that's what we've seen this season. Having said that, I do think we'll see a victory for Celtic. Did you see the Rodgers on Iwata the weekend and the sub he made, and he got a few boos, didn't he, at Fir Park?
He did. I was there. One of the few times I've managed to get to an away game this season. I was booing in my head. I don't do the audible booing. I leave that for the rest of it. No, never. I don't. Listen, I'm not one of these people that are going to sit here and say, "Oh, booing the team's shocking. You should never boo the team." You pay your money, you do what you like. That's the way I look at it. If you want to boo them, you want to cheer them, that's completely up to you. Personally, I just never bother with it. I don't see. In my head, I'll think whatever. I'll maybe shout abuse at somebody if I need to, but I just don't boo. But certainly, when Iwata went off the park against Motherwell at the weekend, I couldn't blame fans for it because I was shocked that he went off. I thought he was maybe our best player on the pitch throughout the game. I thought he was doing a really good job, and I didn't think it would have helped him with his confidence being subbed after a good performance either. But I mean, I suppose it worked in the end. He made the subs, we got the goals, so there's always the silver lining of it. But I can understand the frustrations because I thought it was a bizarre sub at the time. I'm assuming that you're on the same scale of thought with that.
Yeah, I thought Iwata was starting to grow into the game. I thought he started off slow, but there was a period probably from like the hour mark until he came off, maybe 78 minutes, where I felt he was starting to control that game. He was picking up the ball in the middle of the park and he was breaking up Motherwell attacks. I think Carter Vickers coming on really helped him as well. I just think that guy Carter Vickers makes such a difference to everyone around him, and I'm not just talking about the defence. And for me, he's the big plus right now. The fact we've got him back, and I'm praying that he can stay fit. But yeah, I thought it was a strange one at the time, but like we won the game 3-1, so like you cannot criticise Rodgers at all. The opposite. I mean, he made the right sub, and he was actually quoted at his press conference yesterday, and quite kind of a wee bit critical, I thought, of the support. I'll just read this for you now. He says, "When you get booed for taking off a defender and putting on an attacker, that seems strange. The game lasts 90 plus minutes and you're talking 95 or 100 minute games now, so your bench is very important. Having the depth to bring players on and make an impact was very, very important. The reaction doesn't really matter to me. It's more for the player coming on and for the team. It is a negative reaction, which I don't quite understand. We were at 1-1 in the game and you take off a defensive midfield player and put on an attacking player who has scored goals this season, and you get booed. It just seems a little strange." So I think it's fair to say Brendan Rodgers was fancying it yesterday. He's got that fight back, and I've not got a problem with that. Again, that's what I've been wanting to see this season, and we joke about the Jessica Watson story, but this is the Brendan Rodgers I've wanted to see all season, because he's not quite been that. We've seen him in glimpses after the Derby wins and you know, putting the media in their place, but I just get the impression he's maybe starting to feel it, this title race, and hopefully the players are as well. Mike Naropski will miss the game against Dundee, Ryan. Rodgers says it's not too long, but a period of time that he will miss. It's a hamstring injury. We've had a few of them this season. Carter Vickers, who's just come back from a hamstring injury, quote, "will need managing, but he is ready to start if need be." So I think Carter Vickers will probably start. Maybe won't play the full game, but will probably start.
That's what you're hoping, that you're hoping that the performances do start to improve, so that you're in a. We've been seldom in a position this season where we've been probably able to take a player off like that, because we've not been controlling games. We've not been 3-4-0 up. We need those kind of performances so that you can go, right, Vickers, come up. But if you're playing Dundee at home and it's 1-0 with 20 minutes to go, you can't really justify taking off Cameron Carter-Vickers. It's just one of these things that you were talking about earlier in terms of performances, and you know, Brendan Rodgers is being critical as well, but you know, this is his opportunity now to get the team playing better, so we don't need to be overly critical when substitutions are made like that.
This is my team for Dundee. You can let me know what you think, Ryan. So Hart, Johnston, Carter-Vickers, Scales, Taylor, Iwata, McGregor, O'Reilly, Yang, Maida. I've written Kyogo down. I don't mean that. That is just complete habit that I've put Kyogo down here on my sheet.
How times have changed. They used to be the first name in the team sheet, and now he's an accidental name in the team sheet. That's crazy.
That's mad. I genuinely, I've done that without even thinking. Ida, of course. Ida, I think should start tonight. What's your thoughts on that? I
think that I'd done my live stream earlier and I'd done my team. So what was your front three?
Yang, Maida, Ida.
I think the only difference in our two starting 11s was that I had Palmer in over Maida. But as I worded it on my stream earlier, there's nothing that's actually telling me that that's a definite decision or should be a definite decision. I've just went with Palmer because he scored that goal at the weekend. I thought Maeda had a couple of big chances he missed. I think that's probably the most interchangeable part of the team for me when it comes to tonight's game. Because everybody else, I think, kind of picks himself at the minute. Hamish, I don't know about you. I think that with Nawrocki being injured, it makes the defensive choices pretty easy to make. I don't think either can be dropped after scoring 2 at the weekend. So I think the team kind of... And listen, we've not even got started on certain players and certain positions yet, but for me, Nicholas Kuhn looks very... I'm not writing a player off, I don't want to do that, but he doesn't look up to it yet from any of the evidence that's been put in front of us. So for me, the team that you've got out there is pretty bang on to what I'd have.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's really writing him off, but equally we can't just sit here and go, fuck, it's fine, like he's just in the door, we'll let him away with anything. I mean, Kuhn has had like a good few matches and he has done nothing, so he can't start tonight. The one thing I'd say about Kuhn is I think he's maybe better on the left and he's not being played there, so I'd maybe be interested to see him on the left. But in terms of tonight, it has to be Yang. You have to reward Yang and Ida for their contribution at Motherwell. So how are you feeling for the game? Do you think that team will get the job done?
This is crazy because this is the kind of game we should be going into, and I mean this with all due respect to Dundee. I don't mean to write off an opponent or just take presumptions. I know we always get dubbed with that kind of the Glasgow elite mentality and the what's the word they always use? Entitlement. That's what I'm looking for. But these are the kind of games that in years gone by you would go into thinking it's a foregone conclusion, and I do mean that with all due respect. But right now, with the way that we're playing, you can't go into the game thinking like that. So I'm confident. I think that it's a game we should be winning and we will win. But they need more than a win for me. They really need an encouraging performance that makes you feel like we can come out the other end of it, going into Tynecastle confident, going into a title battle confident. So it almost feels like the 3 points is important, but not the only important thing in the game. So yeah, I'm confident we'll win. But we need to get the performance right. We need to show vast improvements from what we've seen in recent weeks.
I just felt the weekend, the way we won against Motherwell was different to the Hibs game. It just felt different. The Hibs game, we massively got away with it. The Motherwell game, I know
we deserved it.
Yeah, I know it was a 94th minute winner, but 100% the chances we missed, we deserved to win that game. So I think it was different, and I'm just praying now tonight we just carry some sort of momentum on from the end of that game.
I think that Rodgers showed in the second half of that game against Motherwell that the way that we played the second half, there was a lot more, we were so much more courageous in what we were doing moving forward. We were wanting to make chances, we weren't, and I don't want it to just sound like the same things we've been saying week in, week out, but we kind of, there was a phase in the second half where we reverted back to it, but I thought in general we kind of scrapped the whole side to side backwards. We tried to actually make a go for it, so it just shows you what happens when you install that system into the team, and when you start to tell them to play football, you create chances and you play much better. So translating that over to a 90-minute performance, I don't think is going to happen overnight, but if we play like we did in the second half, we should be scoring for fun. So we just need to wait and see.
We do. A couple of stories before we go. Liel Abada, Israeli outlet Sport 5 say MLS sides Atlanta United and Austin FC have expressed an interest in Abada. Both clubs said to be talking to his agent about the prospect of a transfer, permanent transfer as well. Abada desperate to leave Celtic. Reportedly willing to waive certain bonuses he's entitled to. The report states that Abada no longer wants to be considered to play for Celtic after being verbally attacked while walking down the street. There's nothing else in the report, like any details about that incident, whether that incident actually happened, who knows. But Abada certainly, heading for the exit door. Turkish outlet Gün Bakis say Celtic have identified the Turkish international goalkeeper Ugurkan Kakir, which is almost certainly not how you say his name, as a potential replacement for Joe Hart. Gün Bakis believe that Celtic have sent an inquiry to Trabzonspor to find out what it would take to sign him. Said to be quite a decent goalkeeper, 27 years old. You're also a Joe Hart fan, Ryan, so you'll be excited sad to see him go, but excited to see who we replace him with.
Of course, I mean, I don't. He just makes into the frame there, doesn't he? Topless Joe Hart for the viewers that might not be familiar. But aye, it's like for as sad as I am to see Joe go, it's about time that Celtic start looking in that field for a new goalkeeper. So it's going to be. Do you know what? I don't know about you though, Hamish. Like, I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm almost already tired of the countless names that will be linked with us with no substance in the story whatsoever. I don't know if I'm the only one thinking like that.
Yeah, Kelleher's name been mentioned
Yes.
as well, so it's going to be a long summer of that. At least we can kind of look forward to a title race before then and kind of deal with that. So I think that's us for now. As I say, we're going to head over to your channel now and record another video, so go and check that out. Ryan118, if they type that in, they'll get you, won't they? They'll subscribe to you anyway. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'd like to hope so, but do you know what? I'll try and remain as kind of grounded
Humble.
as possible. Yes, humble. That's the word I'm looking for. Let's see. If you haven't, you know what to do. Head over.
Yes. Ryan, thank you so much for coming on Celtic
No, my pleasure.
AM, and we'll definitely catch up with you at some stage. Thanks everyone for watching this. Enjoy the game tonight. Be back early on Thursday morning to look back on it and talk over the major talking points. Speak to you then.